All right, the test pays off. All right, well, we'll just continue. Today, as you might guess by the garb, was yard work, landscape work. I've been the landscaper, pool technician for 8.5 years now. Didn't know much about pools in this climate. Landscaping I knew a lot about. Different flora and fauna in Arizona than in Maine. But hey, the concepts are the same. Once you study and learn their life cycles, you get it figured out. Not too hard to do. Okay, today was actual pool filter cleaning, and I can't turn this phone around to the filter, but it's a huge R2-D2 like looking event. Has four like 3.5 foot high cartridges, and a value nugget for you folks who are doing your own thing is plan on in your calendar on cleaning those out 3 to 4 times a year. I do it once a quarter. It saves a lot of headache and time because they're not thick with material. Your pumps work less hard because they're not trying to push. The pressure goes up. I noticed the pressure on my gauge on top of the R2-D2 unit was over 20%. And it should be around 15, fluctuating 13, 18. And the moment I cleaned it all out, took about an hour. And I sit in a chair with something about 2.5 feet tall. I have an old pickle bucket, white one, plastic. They do wear out every once in a while, but this one is a good one. And I put the cartridge on that, and I take a hose and I put it on really forceful with a nozzle so it's not jet stream, more broadcast, and really close. And you just spin that thing around, go up and down the cartridge, turn it around, maybe 10, 15 minutes per cartridge. And you get it spotlessly clean as much as possible. When I put them all back and get the whole thing reassembled and reflooded, I'm telling you, the pressure went from almost 25 right back down to 15, 14%, which is where it should be. And now everything's circulating really well, so I was overdue. And I had a note in my bathroom counter to get this done. I'm walking around so the sun's going to grab my face and make it brighter. But, that's what we do. And hey, it's pretty cool. I'm going to walk over to the filter unit so that actually point the camera there and you can see it. And here we go. So that's the unit. You've got to take that off now and again and take care of it. But now the water's really moving around. It's great. Tomorrow I'm going to vacuum. Didn't have time today because it's almost 4:45. And I'd like to be done for the day on Saturday. I've been out at this since noontime anyway, maybe 11:30. And so the value of taking care of a property, arm's length here. The value of taking care of the property. Here, my Cisco Systems hat. When I was in the high-tech industry, after I sold my business and took a couple of years off, I was kind of bored. And so there was a startup company in 1997, ISP, Internet Service Provider, spin-off from a 100-year-old telephone company in Maine, and they started an Internet service providing company, and I saw the job opportunity, and I was fascinated with the Internet and technology. I didn't know a lot about it, but I learned quickly. It seems I have a penchant for that stuff. And so I applied, had a great time, and that went 5 years until the 9/11, and then the tech industry kind of crashed for a few years. In any event, I learned then to pay attention to some details, and we sold Cisco, but I'm getting on a tangent here. As far as your property is, it's easy to take care of. The value would be is watering systems this time of year. It's still pretty warm, so I have it set back to once a week, but I'm going to manually turn it on when it's been like in the mid-80s for all week long. You need to add a second time. Summertime, it's twice a week, hour and a half, 2 hours per time. You want to flood deeply and not so often. That keeps plant in the drought-tolerant state rather than roots really surface and you got to water. Some people I know I went and visited their home. I think it was in Arrowhead Lakes or close by. They had a ton of queen palm trees, and they looked great, no question. I mean, they still had a yellow frond now and again because they're not a native of Arizona. They're Florida. They like humidity. And a lot more water, and it rains a lot in Florida. So, well, this guy was watering them for 15 minutes, 2-3 times a day in the summertime. That's a lot of water and keeps the roots right, in the top 3 to 4 inches of soil. And so if the watering goes off, hey, your plant's in trouble. All the master gardener strategists say water deeply, longer times, and less often. So that's what I'm following. It seems to work pretty well. The queen palms still have their issue here. I'm going to eventually have them dug up, discarded, and put in the fan palms, which are drought-tolerant plants. So that's it. So easy maintenance on your landscape property. 4 times a year. At max, 3 times is good. Clean the filter cartridge, whatever type you have. If you have a backflush, you might have to do it more often. The cartridges work great that way. Add your chemicals daily. I use half the amount of acid right now because it's cold. Things don't change as fast. I noticed the chlorine tabs are not dissolving in a week's time, so I'm adding less of them so the product will last longer. And actually, there was a great deal at Leslie's for $64 for the 35-pounder, which lasts me a year. So I got another one, and they haven't even finished with the first one, but it hasn't been a year yet. So those are pretty easy stuff. You know, just put it on your calendar. I do. Write yourself a note. I do. And because life is busy enough with all kinds of distractions, value, if you take care of your property, it will take care of you well and give you pleasure in your backyard with family and friends. Particularly if you have a pool, it makes it nice. I call it waterfront property because that's as close to the ocean I am at the moment. Had a lot of ocean time when I was in Maine. That's all right. There's a season for everything. Hey, I'm going to have a glass of wine. It's approaching 5 o'clock. You have a good one. Ciao.